Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, it takes us to around the 9th of October, so we're going into next month, of course, with this update. Lots of high pressure coming up this week. If you enjoy settled, sunny, late summer, early autumn weather, make the most of the next few days, because the message from Mosnorn, and I will show you them in a few minutes, is that it's going downhill over the weekend and into next week with low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. Well, downhill if you don't like wet and windy weather. Of course, it's autumn, so you expect it to be a bit changeable, and that's what the models are hinting at for next week. Have a look at all the charts in a moment. But before I get on with that, just very quickly to say about the ads. There's links to articles on all pages at Gazworthies. Have a browse through widgets, any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You have to go off and read the article. Thanks so much for doing that. There's also a video after post page. They open out in the content. When you watch them, they'll close back up again. And thanks for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. So we're going to start off with the central temperature for September from Hadley. Just a couple of days left of the month, of course, so this is still provisional, but we've gone under 13 Celsius now with the CET. We're currently provisionally up to 28, standing at 12.9, an anomaly of around 0.7 degrees below average. That's probably going to be even more below average when we get to the end of the month. I think there'll be a downwards correction of this. So we're probably going to come out over a degree below the old and cold 61 to 1990 average. If you compare it to a more modern average, say 81 to 2010, we will be even more below average. So it's been a proper cold September, this. May not have felt it with quite a few sunny days recently, but had a lot of cold nights, and of course have had some quite wet weather as well, and some pretty cold, miserable, wet days. And it is turning into a traditional, what I think is a traditional anyway, cold and autumnal September. So it's probably going to turn out to be the coldest September since 1993 when we get to the final figures on Thursday. We'll have those figures in, hopefully, for Thursday, so we have able to have a look at what the final number came out at. And I think that's pretty representative this month for the UK as a whole in the north. It's also been a very cool month as well. So, yeah, we had a proper traditional September, and September is one of those months that has warmed quite a lot over the past 20 years or so. It's perhaps the most dramatically warmed month over the past 20 years, really, with many, many years over the past 20 seeing summer extending out into September. We had one of those last year, a very mild, very warm summer-like September. So, been sort of back to the old days with this year's September. Right, let's have a look at the weather going forward then. That's enough of what's happened. Let's have a look at the next 8 to 10 days. We've got the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts here from the PSU website. The ECMWF is on the top and the GFS is on the bottom. We've flipped the charts around. So blue extrapolates to low pressure and orange red extrapolates to high pressure. I say these are the anomaly charts for the next 8 to 10 days. What we see on both of these, we've got a trough of low pressure around the UK. Very deep trough on the ECMWF, not as deep on the GFS, but they're both changeable. They're both bringing the jet stream more or less through the country in that sort of a situation. So, yeah, they both indicate that as we go into October, we will get this change in the weather pattern from the high pressure that we've got dominating at the moment to a much more unsettled, changeable type situation. They both show low pressure close to the country, just differ on how deep those areas of low pressure are. But that is a pretty deep low on the East Earth. If that comes off, we are going to be in for some proper wet and windy weather by the time we get through to the end of the first week of October. Here's the GFS ensemble. So we've got the temperatures in the middle of the chart, and the precipitation is on the bottom. Dealing with the temperatures, first of all, going to go a little bit above average into the start of October. This is the 1st of October, just here, dates on the bottom of the chart, of course. So the red line's a 30-year temperature average. You're going to be above average over the next few days, probably until the end of the first week of October, and then we see a cooling trend taking place then. These are upper air temperatures, so it won't necessarily be all that reflective of being above average down on the surface. The main thing from this ensemble chart is actually the precipitation, because after this extended dry spell that we've got through this part of the graph, that's around the 3rd of October, after that you'll notice all of these coloured spikes appearing. They are indicating rainfall. There's quite a lot of rain in there. If that comes off, we're looking at probably a couple of inches of rain across southern parts of England. This will be on something for London. So probably quite a lot of rain through the first week and into the second week of October. That does look quite dramatically wet. Actually, it may be over the top. It probably won't end up that wet. These normally sort of correct down to a more sensible solution as it comes closer to the reliable time frame. But it is an indication anyway that the model is certainly seeing a change to much wetter conditions through the first week of October. The temperature anomaly for the coming week is going to be near normal, a little bit above average in the south, maybe a little bit below in the north, but not much of a deviation really from average. Notice most of Europe is above average, so there's not a great deal of cold weather to be had for the foreseeable future next week anyway across Europe. The rainfall and precipitation anomaly is trending to wetter, although actually most places are still coming out a bit drier than average, particularly for Scotland, less so for England and Wales. I think over the next 2 or 3 days, we'll look at these again on Thursday, I suspect over the next 2 or 3 days these will trend wetter, so by the end of the week they'll probably be indicating wetter than average anomalies, because this is going from the 29th today to the 7th of October, so it encompasses all of the dry weather that we've got coming up at least until the weekend. Once we get out of that, it looks like we're going into a wet spell. So the GFS for Saturday shows the ridge in steel. Across the country will be a dry start to the weekend, but as we go into Sunday, that's probably when we start to get a change with showers breaking out from the west. Not sure how far they're getting to the east, but certainly the west I think turns showery on Sunday, and then a more widespread breakdown takes place probably into the start of next week. Low pressure really coming in off the Atlantic. Got a deep area of low pressure around the Azores. That looks like it's probably got tropical elements within it, and that could give us some very wet weather if it comes our way. The GFS does actually push that up towards us as we go through next week. This is Tuesday the 6th on into Wednesday the 7th, and that low pressure is coming up from the Azores, probably spreading in a lot of heavy rain, particularly to England and Wales. There's a big temperature contrast going on here as well. We've got pretty cool air coming into the north, and on the southern side of this low pressure, warm tropical air. So that just helps to fuel the rain, really. And of course, eventually all of that warmth is pushed out of the way as this cool air comes down from the north as going to Thursday the 8th of October. And then finally for Friday the 9th of October, we've got high pressure sitting out to the west, a little bit of a ridge coming in within pretty cool air, and that still is a changeable type setup. The ECMWF again going to be very unsettled. We just saw it on the height anomaly chart. So we start off on Saturday still with that ridge through the country, keeping the settled weather going. Get through to Sunday, the ridge, centre of it is being pushed off towards Black Sea, so it moves away east very, very quickly, and low pressure in the Atlantic starts to advance in, bringing wet and windy weather into the west through to the start of next week. Quite a deep area of low pressure in the Atlantic then. Southerly winds start next week, so it will be quite warm, but be a lot of heavy rain coming in from the west, and then we just stay unsettled really through the week with further areas of low pressure being thrown up at us. Heavy rain is within that. There are tropical elements within this area of low pressure, so pretty wet time of it through next week. By day 10, Friday the 9th of October, we end up in a more showery and cooler westerly flow, but the westerlies are probably through then, and there's further low pressure systems downstream just waiting in the wings really to bring more bands of rain into the country. Finally, the GEM starts off with the high pressure across the country for the start of the weekend. Over the weekend, things break down. The centre of the high goes off to the eastern part of Europe. We pick up this southerly flow, which probably brings showers into the south and west in particular. But it's really the start of next week, but it properly breaks down with heavy rain coming in across the country. That's a very deep area of low pressure across the country on Tuesday the 6th, so there will be a lot of wet weather in with that. 985 millibar area of low pressure, proper autumnal low. Tight packed ice bars as well, so it'll be windy, and a big contrast in temperatures once again, so quite warm tropical air in the south, much cooler air in the north, and all gets pushed through during the week as this cool air comes down from the north with that area of low pressure. And we end up again on day 10 in a flat westerly flow, and there's more low pressure systems downstream, implying that we're into a proper Atlantic driven pattern by then. So it looks like make the most of the next 2 or 3 days is the message from the models. It goes up to Saturday, this settled weather, with cool nights, sunny, warm days. And then we go through into Sunday. That's when the breakdown begins to take place. Get into next week, and it's wet and windy all the way, if we believe the models this morning. Now, it's all a little way off. We're still sort of talking about the semi-unreliable time frame, so we probably got to wait just a couple more days to be absolutely certain that this breakdown is coming in next weekend, or at the weekend and into next week. So I'll know for definite, I think, by Thursday, but it looks pretty conclusive, really, on this morning's models anyway, that we are in for a big change in the pattern next week. It's my 5-day forecast tomorrow, so come back for that, and that's all for now. Thanks for watching.